big group of people with big guns inside today. And it's kind of, especially given what went on in Washington, D.C. this week, kind of what are your thoughts on that sort of thing?
You know, it by all appearances, was a peaceful rally. It's been scheduled, I understand, for quite some time, and had nothing to do with what happened in Washington. Wasn't prompted by that or anything else. I didn't hear any complaints, so I think certainly the Capitol grounds are open to people if they make application for legitimate purposes.
One of the things that I always find interesting about those is that, you know, you all have passed a lot of gun-friendly bills, and yet it's just, I mean, I guess they're not necessarily protesting the gun-friendly bills, because this is like, it almost feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect for there to be a protest when it's like you have the bill.
But I don't think it wasn't a protest, though. I think that, you know, they chose this. We passed religious freedom bill. They have religious freedom rallies here. There are all kinds of rallies here. I think that, you know, possibly it's just that there's a little more public input when you see something where guns are involved.
Well, some of those folks out there today are supportive of the citizens petition that was filed yesterday, calling for impeachment. What happens with that? Is that something you guys would consider taking action on?
You know, we don't really have a choice but to take action on it. There is the Constitution is very brief and very vague about what we have to do, but we have to take it seriously. This is a serious issue, regardless of whether anything comes of it or not. I'm not saying I haven't even read it, so I'm not even saying that it's serious allegations. But, you know, for someone to propose undoing an election of a state executive, it's only happened 4 times in the history of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and only one of those has ever actually resulted in a conviction. So it's a very, very serious accusation, and I would think that for us not to take the accusation seriously, it would kind of be a little bit of a what I want to say, not doing everything we're obligated to do.
So you guys get petitions, not necessarily exactly like this, but you get petitions all the time. And things you get them. I know that Jeff Young has filed several petitions. Does that mean
That's because those amendments are not dealt with in the Constitution, or those petitions. I mean, the Constitution actually deals with what happens if you get a motion to impeach, and I think that even if it's from a citizen, yeah, I asked the same question.
and then so you all are going to set up an impeachment committee?
We will set up a committee just like we did last year when there was an impeachment resolution filed against a judge in Northern Kentucky. Nothing came of that either. They had a few meetings, but what's that?
The pandemic hit.
The pandemic hit, yes. So I mean, it doesn't require. It doesn't even require a vote or anything. It just requires that the committee act. And the committee's action can be to do nothing.
There have been several comments made about the speed at which things are moving along this year, specifically some of the pandemic-related bills. How do you respond to that criticism that things have been moving quickly?
Because they're vitally important. I think that they are timely, and I do believe the time is of the essence. People are begging for relief in a number of ways, just like the House Bill 10 that we passed today, the liability relief for businesses, churches, nonprofit schools. That is probably, next to the emergency powers, probably the number one fear that we have heard from businesses around the state. We did roundtables around the state, probably 25 or 30 of them from one end of the state. And it didn't matter which region of the state that we went to, the very absolute common thread that we heard at every single one was their fear of liability, even if they were acting appropriately, because guidance was changing, regulations were changing. They could be in compliance one day, out of compliance the next, and so they were legitimately fearful for it. And I still believe that they are fearful for it, and that drives behavior. And as we begin to reopen the economy, I think it's very important that businesses have that assurance that they're not going to be targeted. And in order for us to get that passed, even though we don't have a complete agreement on that with the Senate at this point and with some of the other groups working on it, in order for us to get that passed before we adjourn next Wednesday, we had to go ahead and move that bill without complete consensus. We will continue to work on that over the weekend, Monday, Tuesday of next week, and hopefully have a consensus bill by the time we leave here on Wednesday.
Do you anticipate any lawsuits against towards the bill that already passed?
I wouldn't want to speculate. It doesn't make me decide whether or not I think it's good policy.
I want to go back to the impeachment inquiry. I mean, you talk about having to take it seriously, but as far as the actual merits of it, do you believe that it does have?
Again, I haven't read it, so I have no idea. I don't even know what's in it.
Okay, we good?
One final question, I apologize. Back to the armed protesters that were here today. Some of the rhetoric that was being shared at that rally mirrored some of the things we heard in Washington, D.C. earlier this year, specifically when it comes to conspiracy theories surrounding the election. Are you concerned at all about that rhetoric that's being shared, that was shared during the rallies?
You know, there was nothing that I saw today, and granted, I saw it for 2 seconds. It wasn't out there, so I don't know exactly what was said. But I think you've heard me say forever, really, that we've got to tone down rhetoric, and I think that we have tried to do that consistently for a long time. Not just during this pandemic, but we have tried to impress upon people the importance of decorum and the way that they use their words.
Are you concerned at all if these bills that we passed today will actually survive? I mean, Bashir's already talked about challenging them in court because he believes they're unconstitutional. You heard many Democrats say the same thing, that they are unconstitutional. Do you feel like they actually will pass court muster?
I don't believe that they are constitutional. I don't think that you would ever see this body deliberately violate the Constitution. The ultimate arbiter of that will be the Supreme Court. But I think that if you were watching the floor debate, particularly on Senate Bill 1 or 2 today, Jason Nemeth, I think, did an excellent job of going out point by point as to why it was perfectly constitutional. So I don't, again, that doesn't impact whether I think it's good policy, but I would never deliberately pass something that we thought was unconstitutional.
When do we expect to start seeing
All right, Jay, well, they gotta go back over.
happening on the budget? I know that's probably going to.
There'll be a committee hearing on Wednesday or Monday morning.